أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي نور قلوب العارفين بنور معرفته وأثبت فؤاد أنبيائه وأوليائه بقصص الأنبياء والمرسلين وأكمل إيمان المسلمين والمؤمنين بولاية علي أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام. والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على أفضل الموجودات العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد أعني أبا القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى روحه ونفسه وصهره ووسيه سيد الأتقياء والأصفياء مولى الموالي إمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب وعلى أوصيائه لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي ورواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفدا واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله الحكيم في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. We have been trying to give you the tafsir of Surah Naba, and this is Surah number 78 from the Holy Quran. The Great Tiding. And there are many different translations of the Holy Quran in English. Mir Ahmad Ali he has translated long time ago. I think he was from Madras, from India. And his translation is very good, but it is Shakespearean English. So Ahmed Shakir made it simple English. So it is basically the same translation, but just simplifying the words. And there are many other translators in English. One of the best translations is of Brother Sayyid Ali Quli Qarai. He is from India, Hyderabad, but he lived in America most of his life, I think, a lot of the time. And he went to Qom as well, Iran, and he translated many books and many journals. And this is his translation. It's been published by the Americans, the Khatoons. So it's a good translation. There are many different commentaries in English as well. Mir Ahmad Ali has just in one version, in one volume, translation and tafsir. Al-Mizan is one of the best tafsir that we have, but it is very intellectual, deep, and it is condensed. So it is not easy to understand. But if you have a good grasp of Islamic sciences, then you will understand. You need some theological background, some philosophical background, then you will understand it. And Allama Marhum Sayyid Akhtar Rizvi translated it into English. He didn't complete, he passed away. Unfortunately, he translated only 11 volumes. So there are altogether 20 volumes in Arabic, but the Farsi one is 40 volumes. And I think he was translating from Farsi into English. And therefore, he ended up only translating 11 volumes of the 40 volumes. So most of it is, there are others who have now attempted to translate it. So if you read, then inshallah you'll enjoy. I'm only trying to give you an abridged version and not a very deep, but it is an understanding. The Holy Quran is for all times, for all ages, for all eras. It is an answer for the Arabic language. The Arabs were saying a lot of poetry in their own language. And they were using 27 alphabetical letters from Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha to Ya. And from Alif to Ya, they used all of those 27 letters and said poetry, which was all about combinations and rhymes that did not have good meaning or good lessons. It was all about love and drinking and all of those things. Nothing deep. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a challenge, and he used the same 27 letters and produced the Holy Quran, which is beyond poetry of the Arabs. And so it is a masterpiece in literature, but unlike the in vain words of the Arabs, it is very deep, and it gives you tremendous amount of knowledge about Tawheed, about the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about the hereafter. There are over 2,700 verses about your life. It is pure guidance, gives you accurate accounts of the history, and it tells you the events that are to happen, news of the unseen. And if a lawyer reads it, he will find statements that are legally informative. وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاتٌ. Indeed, there is life for you in qisas. So the human, the Islamic law of, when a person kills the other, and they have to give qisas. And qisas is not only just taking the life of the other person, either they pay the price, the blood money, or so, all of those things are very deep, and there are lessons in each one of them. And no matter who reads, if a scientist reads, he will discuss Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala discusses the cosmos in such a way. So there are lessons for everyone in the Holy Quran, and everyone reads it in a different way, and they will perceive different lessons. And everyone should read and try and write a commentary from their perspective. Not everyone meaning every expert from their own point of view, their own science, they should write. A doctor, if he reads, he will come across statements like, for example, the Holy Quran says, مَا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِرَجُلٍ مِّن قَلْبَيْنِ فِي جَوْفِهِ. So he's now negating that, because the Holy Prophet had many foster children. And so, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, مَا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ أَدِيَاكُمْ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ. Nor has he made your adopted sons your sons. So your adopted sons are not your sons, meaning they are not your biological children. So the Holy Prophet's adopted children were not his. Meaning they started calling him father, and they said, no, only Fatima sallallahu is allowed to call him father. But here in the beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah has not put two hearts within one man. A medical doctor had a whole research, and he said this is a medical statement. With children who are born with disabilities and difficulties, and with dysfunctioning bodies, or where they are deformed or something, they may have, like an eye or a kidney, less one or more. But never ever a child is born with two hearts. So this is a medical statement. So everyone who reads it will find something to do with their own, with their own science, or with their own expertise. They will find some sort of guidance from the Holy Quran. So I'm trying to explain that this is a masterpiece in Arabic literature, but it has beautiful guidance in every wake of life. So now, today I'm just going to talk about a few verses which are about the hereafter. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in verse number 21 says, Inna jahannama kanat mirsada. Now look at this verse. It says, indeed hell is an ambush. Mirsad, rasad, an ambush. Basically, rasad or mirsad is, when in Farsi or in Urdu as well, I think we use the word kamingah. Kamingah. When an animal is about to attack its prey, it hides itself. It remains low in the bush, and then it runs and chases and attacks its prey. The place where it stops and holds itself is called mirsad in Arabic. So the word mirsad has been used in the Holy Quran. Inna jahannama kanat mirsada. So indeed, the hellfire is a mirsad. In another verse in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describing the hellfire says, وَجِيءَ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِجَهَنَّمٍ in Surah Fajr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. And on that day, the hellfire will be brought with chains and shackles, Some say that it seems like, a dragon or something. It is not just hellfire. It has burning things in it. It has flames and everything, but it is probably something where it recognizes it's the one who is supposed to go to hell. So it basically grabs and pulls him inside. So it will be brought forth. وَجِيءَ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِجَهَنَّمٍ, So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when describing the hellfire, if you read, it is flames, and it will know who deserves to be in it. So we need to understand that hellfire is not just a simple thing. I don't want to frighten you too much, but today we'll be talking about the hellfire in the next few verses, and it describes what it is like. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the hellfire, He says it is an ambush. So it is waiting for the ones that are supposed to go to hell. So the zalimeen, the oppressors, the disbelievers, or whoever deserves to be in hellfire, sinners, it will wait and then it grabs them and takes them in. So, inna jahannama kanat mirsada. Jahannam is the hellfire, and it swallows everyone that deserves to go to it. And this word has appeared so many times in the Holy Quran, Jahannam. Inna Jahannam. So it is created for what sort of people? In the next verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains. It is a term that we translate as hell, Jahannam. لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, a resort for the rebels. لِلطَّاغِين. طَاغِين, طَاغِيَا. Taghut. These words have appeared in the Holy Quran. Rebels. Taghut, the ones who rebel against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا. It's a resort. So Ma'ab is a place where you remain. If you read the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when describing Fir'aun, He says to Hazrat Musa, اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Again, Taghi. Taghi is a rebel, someone who's gone against, in Surah Nazi'at, which is the next surah after Surah Naba. الذين طغوا في البلاد. In Surah Fajr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when describing the people who were rebels on earth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا. Here. And in Surah Fajr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ تَغَوْا فِي الْبِلَادِ. Those who rebelled against Allah in their cities. فَأَكْثَرُوا فِيهَا الْفَسَادِ. And caused much corruption in them. So it is a term that has been used in the Holy Quran. Taghi. So someone who is a rebel, who is rebellious, some people believe in God, but they believe, so they don't express it, or they don't show it, or they don't go against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They may not believe truly, but they are not rebellious against Allah. The ones who say, I don't believe in God and there is no God. So those who are rebellious and I will do every sin and I will do every wrong against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Jahannama kanat mirsada. The hellfire is an ambush. It is waiting to take the ones in it. لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا. It is a resort for the rebels. لَابِثِينَ فِيهَا أَحْقَابًا. To reside therein for ages. Labithin, basically, haqab is like, from plural ahqab that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used here. What is a haqab? Hashta, it says in Riwayat that people will remain for 80 years in them to up to 360 years. لَابِثِينَ فِيهَا أَحْقَابًا. So there are, when the English translation only, gives you, they will reside therein for ages. Ages, how long? So people will remain for 80 to 360 years for different sins. And, you're there forever and ever. and each day of the hell is equal to 50,000 years of earth. في يوم كان مقداره 50,000 سنة. The Holy Quran in Surah Ma'arij describes in verse number 4 that a day is equal to 50,000 years. And the riwayat say there are 43 haqabs. Each haqab, it says, like a duration. Each duration, there are 43 places. Each one, you may remain between 80 to 360 years, and each day is equal to 50,000 years. So you can imagine it's a long, long duration. Inna yawman inda rabbika ka alf sanati mimma ta'idun. In Surah Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, 1,000 years of yours that you count are equal to a day before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يدبر الأمر من السماء إلى الأرض ثم بأرج إليه في يوم كان مقداره 1,000 سنة مما تعدون. In Surah Sajda again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Sajda, and I'll read out the verse to you, and this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يدبر الأمر من السماء إلى الأرض ثم يعرج إليه في يوم كان مقداره 1,000 سنة مما تعدون. He directs the command from the heaven to the earth, then it ascends towards him in a day whose span is 1,000 years by your reckoning. So Allah's a day to him, like it is logical. And some people say, well, he's out of time and space, but the further away from the sun you go, the longer the year becomes. So for example, a year for Mercury is only, 88 days or something. But when you go to Venus and come to Earth, Earth is 365 days. When you go to Jupiter, Mars, Jupiter, further away, Saturn, their 1 year is much longer than ours. And then if you go to the heavens, very far away, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, 1 day equals to your 1,000 years. 1,000 alfa sana. 1,000 years, because it's so far away. So for him, we're only a dot. We are nothing compared to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this whole universe, we are nothing. This whole earth is a dot. And we are a dot on the earth. And he can punish us. But he says, I don't want to punish you. He loves you. So he wants to reward you. He wants you to go to the paradise. Allah doesn't want anyone to end up in hellfire. That's why he sent so many prophets and messengers who came and did tabligh. Why did they do tabligh? Because they all want the people to go to heaven. And Hazrat Musa in Surah Kahf says, Surah Ayat number 59, إِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهُ لَا أَبْرَحُ حَتَّى أَبْلُغَ مَجْمَعَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ وَأَمْضِيَ حُقُبًا. Surah number 18, Surah Kahf, verse number 59. This is the verse number 59. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here, in fact it is verse number 50. So nevertheless, in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in different verses, 60. So when Moses said to his lad, I will go on journeying until I have reached the confluence of the two seas, or have spent a long time of traveling. So again, they are all traveling the word huqub as a long duration. So this word has appeared in the Holy Quran many times. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in this surah, in Surah Naba, لَابِثِينَ فِيهَا أَحْقَابًا. Again, sometimes accurate translation in English is not possible because there's a whole background to those words. To reside therein for ages. So they will reside in the hellfire for ages. Again, long durations, long periods. And Hazrat Musa used Haqab, Ahqaba. Here, Hazrat Musa says, even if I had to wait for a long period, I will wait. And here Allah says, Ahqaba. They will remain, the Taghis will remain in the hellfire for Ahqab. So sometimes Allah says, Hum fiha khalidun, they will remain there forever, eternal. But some will come out of the hellfire after punishment. So some people deserve, they didn't believe Allah will give them a chance in the hereafter, but then after some punishment, they will come out of the hellfire and they will be forgiven. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that for eternity, it is only for disbelievers of the worst sort. But many people will not remain in the hellfire for eternity. They will come out of the hellfire. So some believers may go into the hellfire and because of their major sins, and then they will come out of it and then go to the paradise. Many people who are sinners, they will be forgiven after the punishments. And many even, for example, some people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the day of judgment, they will complain, oh Allah, we never found out about you. We didn't know that you existed. Had we known, we would have believed in you. Allah will say to them that go to hell, jump in the hellfire. And many of them will jump in the hellfire. The others will say, why should we go to hellfire? We never found out about you. So then he will say, okay, all the ones who jumped in the hellfire go to the paradise, and all the ones who didn't jump in the hellfire, they go to they should be pushed into the hellfire. So they will say, Ya Allah, why? Why should we be pushed into the hellfire? We never find out about you. He said, now you all knew that I'm God and my obedience is obligatory upon you. So the ones who obeyed me now, when they knew that I'm God, they would have obeyed me in the dunya, in that world, if they had found out about me. And the ones who didn't obey me now, when they knew that I'm God, they would have not obeyed me in that world. So it is important that we understand that people will be given chances again. And many people, they have not believed, but because they never found out, but they committed major sins. So they may be punished for those and then sent to heaven. Many believers, because they did not obey the Holy Prophet or the Imams, may be punished and then they will be forgiven. Many may not be, because depending on what sort of sins they did. If some people did all good, they may be forgiven after some punishment. So ahqab, labithina fiha ahqaba. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the ones who broke the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ones who committed major sins, taghaw fi ma'siyatillah, marjan yarja'un ilahi masir. So the ones who taghin are the ones who were criminals. They will be sent to hellfire for some time. Labithina fiha ahqaba. And then that is ahqaba explained. This is now from Majmu' al-Bayan. Each hukm is 30 years. And another place it says 43 years, just like in Atiyab al-Bayan, the hadith I was mentioning. So 43 years is each hukm. And kul hukm sab'una kharifan. And every hukm, ahqab, they will remain there for ahqab, many hukms. Each hukm is 43 years. And each year, hukm is 70 kharif. And each kharif is 700 years. And every year is 360 days. And every day is equal to our 1,000 years. So can you imagine how long the punishment in the hellfire is? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send the criminals to the hellfire, and they will remain there for a very, very long time. Some will remain there forever. People like Yazid, Shimr, Pharaoh, and so many of these will remain there forever. And there are some riwayat that say ahqab means eternity here. So taghin, the criminals who end up like Saddam, will be there for eternity. So these are punishments Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning. Why does He mention these punishments? So that we do not commit sins. But hang on a minute. We do good for only 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years, and then we end up in paradise forever. And we do evil for 70, 80 years, we end up in hellfire forever. How does it explain the adalat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Well, I did good for 60, 70, 80 years, 100 years, and I end up in paradise. This is mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I only did good for 60 years, 20 years, 40 years, and Allah puts me in heaven, paradise for eternity, forever. So this is mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indeed, it is mercy of Allah, that He places you in paradise for eternity. You only did good for 70, 80 years, eternity, paradise. But how do you explain that a person ends up in Jahannama kanat mirsada? That hellfire is like an ambush waiting for the people who do evil, and they remain there for hum fiya khalidun, forever and ever. Well, some places say that, they will get punishment for ahqab, for long durations. After those long durations, thousands of years, they end up in heaven. But thousands of years for 60 years of, evil. So why? Well, there are many, many different explanations. I'll only do one or two. One, for example, Saddam killed 2.7 million people. The Americans say, I don't know. Many people say he killed more, because he killed many Kurdish, Sunnis, Shias. In Iran, Iraq, were all the people that died. Someone is to blame for them. So some say that he is a murderer for all of the millions of people, Iranian people that died. Anyway, so 2.7 million people he killed. He was hanged once. So now he needs punishment for killing the 2.7 million people. So he should be, and that's for eternity. So there should be punishment for the people who've done so many sins, and then eternal punishment is the answer for those sins. Some people may argue, well, he should be punished for, let's say, he should be hanged or punished for let's say, each murder, 100 years, hellfire, so 100 times 2.7 million. And after that, he should go to heaven. The answer to them is that Allah keeps a person who doesn't deserve to, to go to paradise in hellfire forever. Because had the evil people got longer life, they would have continued doing evil things. If Saddam had lived for 1,000,000 years, he would have still killed. He would have still killed the Shias. So they die after a while, but had they lived for eternity, they would have continued. Allah gave them a chance for 70, 60, 70, 80 years. Had they lived for longer, Hitler would have continued to kill. So likewise, all other people who go to hellfire, because they would have continued to kill. They would not stop killing people. So therefore, they deserve to go to hell. Allah gave you a chance in this world, and He says, okay, look, you are getting a chance. You're getting the admonishment, and people are telling you that don't sin, and then you continue to sin, and if you don't stop, there is hellfire for eternal. So they end up in hellfire for eternity because they were doing sins and punishments they were committing sins against humanity for as long as they lived. So now, for as long as they lived in this world, they deserve the punishment for as long as they are in the hereafter, which is eternal, for what they were doing here. So what happens in hellfire? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, La yadhuquna fiha baradan wala sharaba. Tasting in it neither any coolness nor drink. لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا. They will not taste anything from coolness or a drink. They will not have any drink. Nothing to drink and no coolness. So it will be heat and no water, no drink. Except boiling water and pus. إِلَّا حَمِيمًا وَغَسَّاقًا. So now, again today we've covered another 5 verses. And tomorrow we'll talk about more verses. Now, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describe? لَا يَذُقُونَ فِيهَا بَرْدًا وَلَا شَرَابًا. They do not taste anything cool, nothing, no warm, nothing that will please them. No coolness. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has described in these verses the worst of the punishments for the people in the hellfire. So no cool, but illa hamima wa ghassaqa. Hamim is, some ulama have described that it is extreme level of heat with smoke. Smoke of very hot smoke. And ghassaq, in Surah Waqi'ah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes it. Ghassaq is from the pus basically produced from the skin of the people in hellfire. They will have to drink that. So basically it is for the people in paradise, Allah says, وَسَقَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ شَرَابًا طَهُورًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them the purest of the drinks. خِتَامُهُمْ misk. And they will have the most beautiful fragrance. But for the hellfire, it says, they will not have any cool drinks. In fact, they will have the worst hot, he has translated, Sayyid Ali Quli Qarai, boiling water with pus. So basically, boiling water, which is made from dirty things and smoky and pus. These are the words in the Holy Quran describing the punishment of the people in hellfire. Let me just quickly wrap up. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they do not taste anything except for hot water, or a hot drink. So he doesn't say it's water. قُلْ نَارُ جَهَنَّمَ أَشَدُّ حَرًّا. O my messenger, tell the people in Surah Tawbah that the hellfire is the most severe of the heat. أَشَدُّ حَرًّا. There is nothing, none of the deserts here on this earth are as hot as the hellfire. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Hajj describes, يَصُبُّ مِنْ فَوْقِ رُؤُوسِهِمُ الْحَمِيمُ يَسْرَ بِهِ مَا فِي بُطُونِهِمْ وَالْجُلُودُ. So this is what will they be receiving in Surah Hajj, Surah number 22. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this is what they will be eating and drinking. Not eating, but this is what they drink in the hellfire. In verse number 19 and 20 in Surah Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and boiling water will be poured over their heads, with which their skins and entrails will be fused, and there will be clubs of iron for them. Whenever they desire to leave it out of anguish, they will be turned back into it and told, taste the punishment of the burning. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when describing the hellfire, He has given such words So this is the hellfire. In another verse, هذا فليذوقوه حميم وغساق وآخر من شكله أزواج. In Surah Sad, this is a letter, Surah Sad, Surah number, I think, 39. Yes, Surah number, 38. I was saying 39. It is Surah number 38, verse number 57 and 58. Yes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the hellfire and He says, well, and all of those verses, مَا لَهُ مِن نَفَادٍ هَذَا وَإِنَّ لِلطَّاغِينَ لَشَرٌ مَآبٍ. So again the word طاغين has been used. جَهَنَّمَ يَصْلَوْنَهَا فَبِئْسَ الْمِهَادُ هَذَا فَلْيُذُوقُوهُ. Now let me quickly translate. On the day of reckoning, this is what will happen. This is indeed our provision, which will never be exhausted. This is for the righteous, meaning the paradise. And what about the rebellious? And as for the rebellious, there will surely be a bad destination, hell, which they shall enter, and an evil resting place. So hell is the eternal evil resting place for them. What will they have? This, let them taste it. Scalding water and pus, and other things of torment resembling it. So the hellfire itself has been mentioned in the Holy Quran. And what about, this is about the drink. Let me just end it here. What about the food? What will they eat? In Surah Dukhan, which is Surah number 44. Yes, Surah Dukhan, Surah number 44. Verse number 43 to 46, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes what will the people in the hellfire eat. Inna shajarat az-zaqum ta'amul athim kal-muhl yaghli fil butun ka ghali al-hamim khuduhu fa'tiluhu ila sawa'il jahim thumma subbu fawqa ra'sihi min 'adhabil hamim dhuq innaka antal aziz. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describing the hellfire. What will they eat? Indeed, the tree of Zaqum. They will eat from the tree of Zaqum. Again, he just mentioned Zaqum because again, it's not a tree in this world. So he did not translate the word Shajarat az-Zaqum in English. He said the tree of Zaqum will be the food of the sinful. They will eat from this tree. Like molten copper, it will boil in the bellies, boiling like boiling water. Seize him and drag him to the middle of hell. Then pour over him his head the punishment of boiling water. So the hellfire itself, the food, so the food will be Zaqum. Inshallah, we will continue, only did another 5 verses. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the hellfire. May He give us tawfiq to serve His faith, and may we see the reappearance of the Prophet Imam alayhi salatu wasalam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all the mu'mineen from the illnesses and diseases and the viruses that are spreading. May the people, the brothers and sisters who are organizing these tafsir lessons from Hussainiya in Seattle, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them all a long life, and may Allah increase in the tawfiq of all the brothers and sisters that are listening to these lessons. May Allah forgive the marhumin of all of us, and may Allah give us sincere intentions to serve His faith. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.